So Wolves defeated again in the capital, similarly to the Arsenal game and even to the Leicester game. We got away with one at Leicester. A lot of people think that Leicester deserved to draw, if not more. Arsenal, we got what we deserved, and once again against West Ham, we got what we deserved. Just poor again. Team selection from the get-go, wasn't too sure about it. I was prepared to give it a go because Fabio Silva came in for Raul, which I was pleased to see because I think he's done nothing but deserve his shot after Raul's been in relatively poor form. Marcel in for Aït-Nouri, didn't quite understand it but prepared to give it a go. And Trincao in, I'm struggling. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm prepared to push back the weak arguments, because there is a player there, but I'm just not sure the player is suitable for the Premier League. Again, going forward, it was just terrible to watch. There was no imagination, no creative spark. We've resorted to these long balls up into the channels again, and Silva will now get the same criticism as Raul does, purely because some of the passing into, you can't expect a kid to be taking them in the back, with Craig Dawson and Zuma behind him. He ain't going to come out with the ball every single time. But there's not one player, bar Silva, that can come out with his head held high today. I thought Silva tried really hard. He got loads of opportunities in the second half. Was unlucky not to grab one himself. But yeah, there's Keanu Hoover is one that I've got to talk about. I'd much rather have a Croc Johnny in there. Really would, because I'm convinced that he's not a footballer. I don't know what he brings to the team. He makes a standard tackle and everyone thinks, well, he's done well. It's a good performance from him, but ask him to go forward. His crossing's abysmal. Marcel's crossing, abysmal. Even Neves' passing was poor today. It was just a mess from back to front. The defending for the goal, I don't even really want to go into it. It was just about, I don't know who's marking who. I'm watching it saying, how was Souček, shadowed in behind Sace, found himself free to take. He could have had a touch. In the 6-yard area, and no one would have closed him down. Disappointing. Really disappointing. Top 6 over for me, I think there. If you're to get a draw out of 1 point, even 1 point against Arsenal or West Ham, you could argue it'd still be on with the poor form of, United, and even West Ham were dropping points before this. But after that, and I can't see where we go forward, because performances like that are only going to carry on with that mentality. We just but until Neto came on, we had nothing, absolutely nothing. I was convinced we weren't going to score. We could have been there, similarly to the Arsenal game, and we could have been there 3 days and we wouldn't have scored. So yeah, disappointing, really disappointing, but we go again, I guess.
So Wolves lose their second game of the week against fellow European contenders, and today was just awful. Really, really poor. All wrong from the start. I think tactically, Bruno put the wrong team out. Hoover and Marcel, for me, just don't do it as wing-backs. Both of them really orthodox centre-backs playing at wing-back. And then, we're surprised that we're not creating many chances going forward with them in the team. I thought both of them were atrocious today, particularly Hoover. I don't really like to pile on players, particularly young players. He is still a young player. But a young player has to develop. He has not developed whatsoever. And we paid a decent amount of money for him, about 10 million or so. And he was atrocious today. For a player that doesn't get a lot of game time, you would think that the chance to play would mean that he would up his game and try and show why he should be in the team. But he didn't do that at all today. Offered absolutely nothing on the right. Far too slow in possession. When it came to actually crossing the ball in, his crossing was abysmal. It just looked lazy, didn't look bothered, really, which is just amazing for a player who doesn't play very often. But he wasn't the only one, in fairness. The whole team were off it massively today. I thought that José Sá was decent, Kilman was decent, and Fabio Silva was good as well, showed good energy and tried to get things going. But apart from that, the whole team was absolutely woeful. The defending for the goal was just criminal, really, really criminal. Neves running away from Antonio to mark a player that had already been marked. Left him free, put it across goal. Souček, easy finish for him. Really, really disappointing. And Saiss as well, just watching him. It was like watching the football of last season. Just mannequin defending, standing around, watching, looking at each other like they don't know what's going on. In possession today, we were absolutely awful. I've not seen us perform that badly on the ball all season. It's been our worst performance under Bruno for sure. Very, very sloppy in possession, far too slow to get forward. There was a couple of times where we could have broke on West Ham and we just took far too long to pass the ball. I mean, one sticks out in particular where we had 4-on-4, 4-on-3, something like that, and we had a chance to counter-attack at pace. Hwang takes far too long on the ball, plays it to Hoover on the right, and then Hoover, instead of trying to drive forward, stops the ball, does a little bit of step-overs or tries to do something with his feet, and then plays it back to Kilman. I mean, that was basically the whole game. It was just really, really frustrating to watch. Neves and Dendoncker again as a midfield two didn't work. If we're going to play Dendoncker and Neves in midfield, it has to be in a 3. Dendoncker just cannot play in a 2. He doesn't have the nous to play it. He's not smart enough as a footballer in his positioning. He gets caught in possession far too much. When he doesn't have any time on the ball, he's horrendous, and he was again horrendous today. Getting in players' way, getting in his teammates' way constantly. There was two or three times in the last 10 minutes where he got in someone's way and we lost possession because of it. Stupid little back heels and flicks with 10 minutes to go as well. And then every time we got forward, he'd get the ball in advanced areas and then either play it sideways or backwards. So it's just like, what is he bringing? It's so frustrating. Fabio Silva, like I said earlier, I thought that he was one of the only players who showed a bit of fight. Pedro Neto as well, when he came on, looked lively. But again, it's just a lack of options in attack. Far too defensive, far too negative. No energy, no urgency. It was just embarrassing. Even with Jimenez and Silva on the pitch, we had one man in the box for a cross, and it was Jimenez. It's just frustrating, really, because I felt like this season we strayed away from that sort of thing. But for some reason, the past week or 2 weeks, maybe it's a lack of squad depth or a lack of quality options off the bench, we've just become so defensive. And I know we have been more defensive this season, but it's not to the extent that we have been the past week or so. Arsenal was poor. I was expecting a reaction today, got no reaction whatsoever. I don't think anyone can come out of that game with their heads held remotely high. I thought Hwang again offered really nothing. And Trincao, again, flat as to deceive. He's just nothing player, really. He just doesn't make any impact whatsoever. I think it'll be stupid to activate that release clause, or the purchase clause at the end of his loan. It was just the wings are so important to us in terms of wing backs and wingers. And when you've got two pretty much centre backs, makeshift full backs playing at wing back, and two wingers that struggle, to really make an imprint on the game, Trincao especially, it was always going to be a tough game. We knew from when the lineup came out, I wasn't particularly confident, and that kind of showed in the performance. So, yeah, disappointing. It's going to be a tough time to get into Europe. I think that we've really got to just band together and hopefully get some results. But performances like that are just absolutely disgraceful, really, because there's just no urgency, no passion from the players. Tactically poor setup, tactically poor in terms of the mindset as well. Just really disappointing.
Oh dear, I never ever want to play twice in a week in London ever again. Really poor performance again today, and I think it was two poor teams. I thought West Ham would be there to be got at, but we just couldn't do it until the last 5 or 6 minutes where they sat off. And even when they sat off, we just lacked any real penetration, really. I feel that if you're going to play Keanu Hoover and Marcel, you've got to pay 8-0 instead of Marcel, because otherwise you're going to have absolutely nothing going forward. I thought most players dropped a stinker today. The only real shining light for me was Fabio Silva. Led the line, I wouldn't say excellently, but better than Raul's done in previous weeks. Actually got himself in front of goal and tried to make a few chances, but it was just block after block. The goal was a really sloppy one to concede. And I don't think West Ham had a few chances, but like I said, I don't think they were great, but probably deserved to win the game. If you can only muster at one real shot on target from 156,000 yards away, you're never going to have a hope, are you? Just too static, too safe, such a conservative approach to a game that, you know, even when we 1-0 down, there's no impetus, there's no one willing to take a risk. They look like a team today who were scared to go forward and have a go. It's been a tough week, really. I mean, losing to Arsenal in the vein that we did deserve to lose, and coming here and dropping a 3 out of 10, it's got to be better. Saturday's going to be a really tough game against Palace, and I don't feel confident, but. And it's strange what football can do in the week. The week before we were saying on a European charge. Today, I think this week, a bit of a realisation really. I think for me, if we can get the Conference League, that'll be outstanding. We're well above where we thought our expectations would be, but that's not an excuse to kind of drop. Got to get some more goals in the team. It's getting a bit desperate now. I think that's the 12th game this season we've failed to score, which is good enough for a team vying for European spots, but a shit one to take. Long week. I'll be glad for a rest in the week, but gotta do better.
So, West Ham 1, Wolves 0 at the London Stadium. That was shit. There's no other way to put it. Wolves were absolutely appalling today. Like, seriously, that was the worst performance I've seen them put in all season. Spineless, effortless, didn't have a go. Didn't look arsed. None of them looked bothered today. It was pathetic, to be quite honest with you. Actually, no, one exception. Fabio Silva looked bothered. That's it. That is it. Certain players there showed why they shouldn't be here next season. And you might think it's a bit reactionary. That's 2 games in 4 days, which we needed anything from. 2 draws would have been brilliant, in my opinion. But we bottled it in both of them. Last, on Thursday, it was pathetic late collapse. And then today, not even a bit of effort after we went behind. Not even when we were level. That was sailing towards a routine win for West Ham, and that's exactly what it was. Like, let's be honest here. Players like Hoover should be nowhere near the starting 11. I haven't rated him. I don't rate him. We showed today how much we miss Nelson Semedo, and anyone who thinks that he hasn't been one of our best players this season is quite frankly wrong, because he is really important to this team, and we are going to miss him desperately over the next few weeks. 5 changes to the team from Thursday, which I didn't think was that bad. It was a bad late collapse. But 5 changes, was that really warranted? Dendoncker, once again, anonymous in midfield. Neves wasn't great either. Just a really poor performance from Wolves. And the defending, which we build off this season, our best results have been based on good defending. What was that for the goal? What was it? Because it wasn't normal defending. You conceded from a throw-in. What Premier League side, allegedly now going for Europe, concedes from a throw-in? That was pathetic from all of them to let West Ham and like that, who were threatening, but it wasn't exactly like we were getting peppered with efforts. And when we went 1-0 down, Neto came on too late. Jimenez came on with 10 minutes to go and was trying to do back heels on the edge of the area. It was absolutely appalling from every single one of them today. 1 shot on target in 93 minutes? And that was a pot shot in the 88th minute by Ruben Neves. It's like, come on. It was a really bad performance by Wolves today. There's no other way of putting it. And I don't know what Lage is going to say, but he needs to lambast them because it was really bad. Really bad. Certain players, like I said, showed why they shouldn't be here next season. Marçal as well was one of them. I don't know why Ryan Aït-Nouri wasn't starting. He's really good. A question over his fitness maybe, but he needs to play instead of Marçal. Like, let's be real here. Saiss has not been himself since he came back from AFCON. Like, Saiss has been poor since he's come back from AFCON. He hasn't covered himself in glory at all. And, well, up top, Fabio Silva I thought did well. Hwang was a bit anonymous, and Daniel Podence tried when he came on, didn't really get into it. Neto looked bright when he came on. That's about the only bright spark. And hopefully, if he's up to starting games, he should be starting against Crystal Palace and Leeds in the coming weeks, because at the moment, Wolves have been really bad in the last really 180 minutes of football. Barely missed a good chance today. They didn't have a good chance today. Let's be honest. Silva tried his best up top. He worked hard, but Zuma had him mostly Marshall for the whole game. You just can't say much more about it, really. Like, if any fans thought we had a chance at top 4 before this week, they now know that is an unrealistic expectation. Still kind of in the mix for Europa League and Europa Conference League football. But let's be real, performances like that today will be lucky to finish in the top 10. I really am disgusted with the way they played today. I don't know if it's just a quick reactionary thing straight after the game, because blood's boiling after that, to be honest. That was really poor. The worst performance under Lage by a long way. At least the games where we lost in a bad way, like Brentford at home, Crystal Palace away, we tried, we had chances, we missed chances. Today, absolutely nothing. 5 changes. Looks like it was a poor decision from Lage now to do that, but yeah, well, you had to try something, but it ultimately hasn't worked. Wolves could have done with making the changes at half-time. If we can't, I haven't seen enough from Francisco Trincao. I saw him once in the first half, that was it. Like, I haven't seen enough from him. £25 million. Oh, God, please, no. Don't. I'm begging Vosu not to buy him because, personally, I don't think he's up to it. That's just my opinion. But, yeah, not all lost, but that's sickening today because that was really bad from Wolves. But yeah, Palace next week, they need a reaction. 2 defeats in London in 4 days. They need a reaction desperately. Because if they don't, the season could fastly go from promising to really, really worryingly bad in the space of a couple of weeks. West Ham 1, Wolves 0.
Very poor performance today from the boys, especially in the first half. It ended West Ham 1 and Wolves 0. We started very slow again. We didn't really create much all of the first half. We just seemed to be lumping the ball up to Fabio and hoping that he'd win the flick on. And as we could all see, that did not work throughout the whole of the game. I felt a bit sorry for Fabio today because I just expected him to win every ball against Zuma, and I think he might have won 1 out of the 20 that he took to him, so I felt a bit sorry for him today. He definitely wasn't our problem today. Hoover and Dendonka were probably the worst 2 people on the pitch today, and they probably could have played for another 90 minutes and still would have been the worst 2 players on the pitch. Hoover just doesn't create a thing going forward, and defensively I can't really see what he offers for us defensively, so I would have liked to see Johnny there today. Dendonka, I can't really see what he offers to the club as well, if I'm honest. Can't really pass, can't really run with the ball, can't defend, can't do anything really. It's a shame to see when you want a reaction after you've just lost in the last minute 2-1 to Arsenal, and then you come in the first half and you're not really attacking or doing anything, and then you're passing it round the back with all 5 of the defenders like we're 5-0 up when we're 1-0 down in the 82nd minute, and nothing's really happening. But the manager's made the subs, brought people on, but nothing worked really for us today, and all these fancy flicks that we're doing in between the lines and everything, and playing like we're in bloody Barcelona when we're 1-0 down. It doesn't really work for us, but second half we were a lot better, created a lot more chances. Fabio had some good chances. Kurt Zuma was just everywhere, blocking everything. So I felt a bit sorry for Fabio, but it was great to see him, trying to create a chance or trying to get a goal, and then brought Podence and Neto on, and I thought they both played well when they come on as well. Neto probably starts for me next with Podence. Hwang as well, a good shout out for him in the second half. I thought he carried the ball quite well, but it just didn't work out for us today. We couldn't get the ball in the back of the net, and I don't think Fabianski's really had to make any particularly hard save. But then again, neither saw the defending for the goal is abysmal. How you're letting somebody free in the 6-yard box, just allowed to tap it in after he's just took on 3 players as well, is embarrassing. So it's a shame to see, but it's past now. If we carry on playing like this, then we're going to have a poor end to the season. But I feel like that we've got a good run of fixtures now that we can press on and try and get some points on the board. So yeah, on to next week. Cheers, boys.